reasons why they messing with Glock right now, fam, because his name is coming up in that Big Juke situation.
First, it was Big Juke. Now, word on the street is Key Glock's retaliation for young Dolph isn't done yet, because new footage that just leaked shows Glock allegedly trying to take Yo Gotti out too. But with what the feds are digging up on Gotti right now, Glock might not be the only threat closing in. Let's break it all down. The viral footage that got the streets talking. Let's take it back a few months, when the whole city was still shook from the way they did young Dolph dirty. A hit that, while the law ain't officially pinned on nobody yet, had the whole hood pointing fingers in one direction. Yo Gotti. Not cause they got receipts, because of the beef. A beef so toxic that even Dolph himself said he couldn't cap about it.
If it's something about you I just don't respect, bro, I can't sit and fake and act like it's all good.
That clip wasn't no random rant, fam. That was Dolph keeping it 100 on camera about the very first time he linked up with Yo Gotti. A moment that had him knowing, straight up, something was off about this dude. According to Dolph, Gotti's whole energy was sus from jump. Even in their first sit-down, Gotti was allegedly throwing his own artists under the bus just to gas Dolph up, talking down on Zilla, disrespecting Starlito, trying to finesse Dolph into signing with CMG. But in Dolph's own words, it was a red flag moment.
You gonna really sit and downplay your artist and throw your artist up on the bus to try to persuade me in to come over there? So it's like a red alert the first time I met him.
Let that marinate, bruh. The first time Dolph even chopped it up with Gotti, he already peeped. This ain't a real one I can rock with. That decision, it might have sealed his fate. Fast forward to November 2021. Young Dolph gets caught slipping and aired out in Memphis while grabbing some cookies at Makeda's. And while Gotti's government name was never officially tied to the body, the streets and the internet already made their verdict. The blame, whether it's facts or not, was pointed straight at Gotti and his crew. One name kept coming up in the mix: Big Juke. Yo Gotti's blood brother. Juke had always been rumored to be the enforcer for CMG, the muscle, the one making sure business stayed handled. And after Dolph got smoked, his name kept ringing bells over and over and over. Then came the unthinkable. Big Juke himself caught a hot one in Memphis, got stretched outside a restaurant just hours after being at his niece's wedding. Local news confirmed the hit, and for the first time it looked like CMG wasn't just dishing out smoke, they was catching it too. And that's when the whole situation got spicy. Enter Key Glock, Dolph's blood, his day one, the young bull he personally put on and helped navigate through the Memphis streets, and the soldier who, ever since Dolph got taken out, has been carrying the Paper Route Empire flag like he ready to die behind it. So when new footage allegedly surfaced showing Glock chasing down a black Escalade that supposedly registered to Yo Gotti's security squad, the internet went stupid. Some cats called it a hit attempt. Some said it was payback. Others was like, this the start of an all-out war in the M. We gonna break down that footage in a minute. But first, let's talk about why Key Glock would even be on that type of time. Cause homeboy has never been quiet about how he felt about Yo Gotti's camp.
I'm content. I'm all right.
When you say content, what does that mean? Like
I'm maintaining. Like I'm not getting better. I'm not getting worse. I'm just here right now.
And in the booth, Glock's bars took a different turn. Lyrics that used to flex about whips and chains now had smoke and threats woven through them. Key Glock dropped diss joints targeting Yo Gotti, including Already Know 2, Yo Gotti diss, showing that he wasn't about to sit back while his peoples was getting targeted. But word on the street is that the real trigger wasn't no song. It was a face-to-face, a private, no cameras meeting that allegedly went down in Atlanta just weeks before Juke caught his fade. A meeting between Glock, 2 unknown soldiers, and a high-ranking member of CMG's crew. What got said at that sit-down ain't leaked, but according to people in the know, it was clear that Get Back was coming. If that's true, then Juke getting smoked wasn't just an L for CMG. It was a warning shot. And Glock, he wasn't finished with the smoke. The whole picture gets even crazier when you understand what came out during the Young Dolph murder trial. Prosecutors said Big Juke put up a $100,000 bag on Young Dolph's head, with record deals as extra motivation. But the tea didn't stop there. Word is there was a whole hit list with bounties on multiple Paper Route Empire members, including a $50,000 price tag on Key Glock's dome. The list read like a death note for the whole Memphis scene. Key Glock had a $50,000 bounty, Pre-Woo $50,000, Moochie Grape $5,000, and Snoop Bands $20,000. This wasn't just about Young Dolph no more. This was about wiping out Paper Route Empire's whole roster, period. Word is that the feds are already in the mix, with reports that both Yo Gotti and Key Glock are on some type of watch list connected to a bigger gang investigation in the South. According to Memphis PD, the area where Juke got his wig split has been under surveillance for months because they are expecting retaliation moves. This was no random beef. This wasn't no emotional outburst. This was calculated. And that brings us to the moment that had Memphis on edge. Around 6:17 p.m., just outside some businesses on Winchester Road, a blurry but unmistakable figure, believed to be Key Glock, is seen sprinting across a parking lot, iron in hand. Within seconds, shots rang out. People started screaming. A black Escalade burned rubber getting out of there. Nobody got stretched, but the message, crystal clear. This beef wasn't over. The deadly beef that sparked everything. To really understand these wild claims about viral footage and assassination attempts, we gotta travel back to where this whole bloody mess started. This ain't just some story about two rappers who couldn't get along. This is about pride, business moves, family loyalty, and what happens when street politics crash into the music game like a brick through a window. The seeds of all this destruction got planted way back in 2014, during what should have been just a regular business meeting between two Memphis hustlers trying to get their paper up. But what went down in that studio would forever poison the water between these two camps and set off a chain reaction that would end up claiming multiple lives.
Like the first time I even met little dude, go in the studio. First time. He sent everybody out the studio. Like, let me holler at dog. Like, man, you got your own everything. Bro. You popping. Like, but you got the money, you got your team, you got this, you got that. Like, bro, I'm telling you, we can do this.
But what happened next would forever change how Memphis hip-hop moved.
You ain't like Zilla. I ain't gotta hold your hand like Zilla. You ain't like Starlito. I ain't gotta hold your hand like Starlito. I ain't gotta babysit you like them. It's my first time meeting you. You gonna really sit and downplay your artist and throw your artist up on the bus to try to persuade me in to come over there? So it's like a red alert the first time I met him.
You feel like
I can't
what are you gonna say
respect
about
that.
me?
This moment shows you everything about why this beef got so personal and so deadly. It wasn't just about the bag. It was about respect, loyalty, and two completely different philosophies on how real ones should move. Dolph felt like Yo Gotti was straight up disrespecting his own artist just to make his pitch look sweeter. For somebody who valued loyalty over everything, this was some unforgivable snake. The rejection of Yo Gotti's CMG deal became the foundation for everything that followed. Dolph's decision to stay independent and build Paper Route Empire wasn't just a business move. It was a declaration of war against the established order in Memphis hip-hop.
Yo Gotti was texting my phone for 2 years straight. What you doing, bro? What you working on, bro? Let's do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's do that. Like, oh, it's cool.
But underneath all that surface-level professional politeness, the tension was building like pressure in a cooker. By 2016, Dolph dropped his album King of Memphis, which was seen as a direct shot at Yo Gotti's self-proclaimed crown. This wasn't just marketing or artistic expression. This was Dolph saying there could only be one king in Memphis, and that throne was up for grabs. The musical warfare that followed was vicious and got real personal real quick. In 2017, Dolph dropped Play With Yo Bit, a devastating diss track that didn't just attack Yo Gotti musically, but went straight for the jugular on his personal life. The track had allegations about Gotti's relationships and came with a music video featuring a Yo Gotti lookalike getting humiliated.
There was a very vicious diss song where Dolph was dissing Gotti's brother, Big Jerk, who obviously has become a big part of this. Dolph dropped that very, very vicious diss track. What was it? I think it's called Play With Your
Yeah.
You know, absolutely tore Big Jerk and Yo Gotti apart. He had the body double in the video. You know, that was fighting talk right there.
But the beef quickly jumped from the booth to the block with real violence. In February 2017, Dolph's bulletproof whip got lit up in a drive-by in Charlotte, North Carolina, with over 100 rounds getting dumped. Miraculously, Dolph survived the attempt and flipped it into inspiration for his album Bulletproof, turning his near-death experience into musical gold. Later that same year, in September 2017, Dolph caught multiple bullets outside the Loews Hollywood Hotel in Los Angeles. While Yo Gotti was initially named as a person of interest, LAPD cleared him later. But the connection to his associate, Corey McClendon, who got arrested but released without charges, kept the speculation alive about CMG's involvement.
Me and Home never had one argument. You know what I'm saying? Ever in life. We never touched each other. Ever in life. We never exchanged no money ever in life. I really just wanted to sign them, you know what I mean? Giving them advice. Letting them come out on my show.
Enter Key Glock into this already heated situation. Key Glock, being young Dolph's blood and a key PRE artist, was naturally riding with Dolph against CMG, but his involvement went beyond family ties. He became an active participant in the musical warfare. His loyalty to Dolph wasn't just professional, it was deeply personal, rooted in family bonds and growing up together in South Memphis. The situation seemed to cool off during the COVID pandemic, with both sides focusing on their music and getting their money up. But underneath the surface, the hate continued to simmer. The beef was cited by prosecutors as the motive for Dolph's murder, painting it as an all-out war between CMG and PRE. The murder of young Dolph on November 17, 2021, marked a tragic escalation in this long-running conflict. But it was what came out during the trial that really had the hip-hop world shook. Prosecutors alleged that Big Jook, Yo Gotti's brother, had put up a $100,000 bag on young Dolph's head.
Yeah, I was checking his phone like, you know what I'm saying? I need that money for the party, you know what I'm saying? I ain't know it, you know what I'm saying?
All right, so now we've been paid about $800.
Yeah.
Is that right?
The testimony revealed not just the cold calculation behind the murder, but also how the promised payments never came through, leaving the shooters feeling played by their supposed connects. Smith ended up getting only $800 total instead of the promised $40,000. Even more disturbing were the allegations that this was part of a bigger campaign of violence against Paper Route Empire. The leaked hit list that allegedly came from Big Jook painted a comprehensive picture of systematic targeting. Key Glock wasn't just a witness to his cousin's murder. Word is he was a target himself, with a $50,000 bounty on his head. When Big Jook got smoked in January 2024, the hip-hop community immediately started talking retaliation. The timing, coming right after the explosive trial revelations, seemed too coincidental to ignore. Many expected Key Glock, as one of the surviving targets and Dolph's closest soldier, to respond with either bars or bullets.
Pretty twisted poetic irony in the fact that, you know, Duck got killed on camera and these guys were laughing about it for months. Next thing you know, Von Stein on camera, you know, damn near in the same kind of way. And you know, for that to have happened to Dolph and Jook, you know, it just shows that if that's the energy you put out, that's the energy that can come back around for you.
This context of violence, retaliation, and alleged hit lists creates the perfect storm for viral footage claims. After all, here was a young soldier who had not only lost his blood and closest homie, but had also found out that he himself had been marked for death with a substantial bag on his head. The story writes itself. Of course, Key Glock would want get back. Of course, he would strike back at the organization that had allegedly orchestrated this campaign of terror against his family and his label. The feds are watching and the cycle keeps spinning. In fact, what's happening behind the scenes is way more serious than any viral video could show. Word on the street is that the feds been watching, and when the feds start paying attention to hip-hop beefs, that's when things get really spicy. Multiple sources are reporting that both Yo Gotti and Key Glock are allegedly on some type of federal watch list connected to a broader gang investigation in the Southeast. This ain't just local Memphis PD keeping tabs. We're talking about federal agents, RICO investigations, and the type of heat that can bring down entire organizations. Here's what makes this federal angle so serious. When the government starts looking at hip-hop labels as criminal enterprises, everybody associated can catch charges. We've seen this playbook before with other labels and crews. The legal proceedings related to young Dolph's murder continue, with trials still pending for some defendants. And every piece of testimony, every recorded conversation, every financial transaction is building a bigger picture for federal investigators. The RICO implications are what should have Yo Gotti really concerned. RICO, the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, was designed to take down organized crime, but in recent years, prosecutors have been using it to target rap labels and street organizations that they claim operate like criminal enterprises. If the feds can prove that CMG was involved in a pattern of criminal activity, murders, drug dealing, witness intimidation, they can seize everything: assets, properties, businesses, the whole empire. Think about what the government already has on paper. Prosecutors allege that Big Jook orchestrated a $100,000 hit on young Dolph. They have testimony about CMG allegedly paying $50,000 for legal fees for one of the shooters. They have leaked documents showing alleged hit lists with bounties on multiple artists. This is exactly the type of evidence that federal prosecutors love to build RICO cases on. They don't need to prove that Yo Gotti personally pulled any triggers. They just need to show that he was the head of an organization that engaged in criminal activity. And with Big Jook being his blood brother and allegedly handling the violent side of business, that connection becomes very problematic. Now let's talk about the retaliation cycle, because this is where things get really deep. Memphis hip-hop has been caught in a deadly pattern that mirrors what we've seen in other cities: Chicago, Atlanta, New York. It's the same cycle that claimed King Von, FBG Duck, and countless other talented artists who got caught up in street politics. This cycle is exactly what has the feds so interested. It's not just individual crimes. It's an ongoing pattern of violence that involves multiple organizations, crosses state lines, and generates massive amounts of evidence through social media, music, and financial transactions. Here's how the retaliation cycle typically works in these situations. Somebody gets killed, their crew feels obligated to get revenge, so they target the people they think are responsible. But when they strike back, it just creates more targets for retaliation. Each killing creates new enemies. new debts to be paid in blood, new reasons for violence. In the Memphis situation, you can trace this cycle clearly. Young Dolph gets killed in November 2021. Big Jook allegedly was behind the hit. Then in January 2024, Big Jook himself gets taken out. Now, according to the viral footage claims, Glock is supposedly trying to finish the job by going after Yo Gotti direct. But here's what makes this federal investigation angle so significant. The government doesn't need the cycle to continue for them to build their case. In fact, they prefer when it stops, because it gives them time to analyze all the evidence without new crimes muddying the waters.
I don't think that ever would stop. It's just my opinion. Like, people been killing forever. That's just life. But I don't feel like people really fight over blocks no more. Like, I think it'd be like what the people do to each other.
21 Savage is right about the cycle continuing, but what he might not realize is how closely the feds are watching every move. In today's digital age, everything leaves a trail. Phone records, financial transactions, social media posts, surveillance footage. It all gets collected and analyzed. The federal investigation also explains why Glock has been so restrained in his response to these tragic events. Smart street cats understand that when the feds are watching, every move you make can be used against you in court. Any public statements about retaliation, any threatening lyrics, any suspicious financial transactions, it all becomes evidence. This is probably why Glock's music releases after January 2024 don't contain lyrics explicitly referencing Big Jook or Yo Gotti. His lawyers likely told him to keep his mouth shut and let his music speak for itself, without giving prosecutors any ammunition to use against him. The broader implications of this federal investigation go way beyond just Memphis. If the government can successfully use RICO against CMG, it sets a precedent for how they can target other hip-hop labels and street organizations. This could change how the entire industry operates, forcing labels to distance themselves from anything that could be construed as criminal activity. For Yo Gotti specifically, the federal heat represents an existential threat to everything he's built. CMG isn't just a record label. It's a multi-million-dollar empire with legitimate business interests, real estate holdings, and partnerships with major corporations. A RICO indictment could freeze all those assets and destroy decades of work. The retaliation cycle also becomes a trap when the feds are involved. Every act of revenge just provides more evidence for prosecutors to use. Every social media post, every diss track, every suspicious death gets added to the case file. The cycle that was supposed to provide street justice ends up providing federal prosecutors with exactly what they need to destroy everyone involved. Real federal investigations work slowly and methodically, building airtight cases that can't be beaten in court. The truth is that Big Jook's murder remains officially unsolved with no arrests made. But in federal investigations, unsolved murders don't stay unsolved forever. The government has resources, technology, and patience that street justice can't match. As we look at the bigger picture, what's emerging is a story about how federal law enforcement is adapting to deal with hip-hop related violence. They're using the same tools that took down traditional organized crime families: RICO prosecutions, financial investigations, surveillance technology, but applying them to rap labels and street organizations. And for everyone involved in this tragic cycle of violence, the biggest threat might not be each other. It might be the government building cases that could put them away for life. The retaliation cycle continues, but the feds are watching every move, collecting every piece of evidence, and building cases that could change everything. In this game, the house always wins, and the house is the federal government. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this.